the a-hole for telling my dad I know about his second family after he asked me to keep a secret from my mom for 3 years. Well, that is the perfect segue into today's video because we are checking out some of Reddit's wildest family drama, and apparently we're starting off strong. I found out in June of 2023 that my dad, 54 male, had a child with another woman. I found out by accident. I borrowed his phone to call someone, and a message notification came up from a woman named Karen with a photo of a little girl who looked exactly like my dad. That would be a wild day. I confronted him alone the same night, and he broke down and admitted everything. The girl is now 4 years old. He begged me not to tell my mom, 51 female, and said he was handling it and that it was complicated, that Karen had agreed to keep things quiet, and that telling mom would destroy our family. I already have not nice things to say, so. I was 20 years old, sitting across from my father, watching him cry, and I just said, okay, and I kept that secret for 3 years. Every family dinner, every holiday, every time my mom talked about how much she trusted my dad, I sat there and I said nothing. It affected me more than I told anyone. I started therapy in early 2024, specifically because of the anxiety this secret was giving me. Yeah, shame on your father for putting that on you. You should have never been put in that position. My therapist never told me what to do, but kept asking me how long I was willing to carry something that was not mine to carry. Last month in June of 2026, my dad sat me down and told me Karen was threatening to tell my mom herself unless he started paying more. He wanted me to help him figure out how to keep it quiet. That was the moment that something snapped. I told him I was done. I could not keep doing this. 2 days later, I sat down with my mom and I told her everything. She was devastated. She is currently staying with her sister and has spoken to a divorce lawyer. My dad is furious and says I betrayed him and destroyed our family. I'm livid. I'm livid. I'm feeling hot. I'm getting red. That makes me furious. No, you did not destroy your family. You know what did? The fact that he has a child with another woman. His own actions. Look at that. My younger brother, 19 male, says that I should have stayed out of it. My therapist said that I made the right call for my own mental health without telling me if it was right or wrong. I genuinely do not know if I did the right thing or I just did the thing that I could no longer avoid doing. Am I the a-hole? I think we all know who the a-hole is, right? Are we all on the same page? I hope so. Maybe not though. We have an update. It's only been 9 days since I made my original post, but things have moved much faster than I expected. My mom is still staying with my aunt and has already met with a divorce lawyer to understand their options, although nothing has been officially filed yet. She told me that while the affair itself broke her heart, what hurt even more was realizing my dad had been lying to her for years and had asked me to keep that secret alone. She kept apologizing for not noticing how much it had affected me, and I kept reminding her that none of this was her fault. My dad is still blaming me and insists that I destroyed our family instead of giving him more time to fix things. But I honestly don't know how anyone fixes having another child secretly. We haven't really spoken since. My younger brother has calmed down a little, even though he's still upset about everything, and I think he's starting to understand why I couldn't keep the secret anymore. I still have not met Karen or my half-sister, and I don't know what will happen there. I've continued going to therapy, and while everything still hurts, I also feel a strange sense of relief because I'm no longer carrying a secret that was never mine to keep. Reading the comments on my original post helped me realize that I did not create the situation. I just stopped protecting it. Amen. I mean, you guys know my opinion. I don't think she's the a-hole here. I think there's one a-hole in this story, and it is Dad. Let me know your thoughts though. You might disagree. Next story. Would I be the a-hole for invoicing my husband's great uncle for the cheesecake at our wedding? Cheesecake sounds so good right now. It's one of my favorite. Carrot cake and cheesecake are my favorite kind of cakes. Love me some chocolate cake. I love all cake. Not vanilla though. That's like my last pick, you know? My husband, 21 male, and I, 23 female, recently got married with just under 300 people. My parents and my husband's dad and stepmom paid for the wedding. We had 300 cupcakes in 4 different flavors for our guests, plus a separate cheesecake specifically for me and my husband to cut. My husband doesn't like regular cake, but absolutely loves cheesecake. So a family friend who makes amazing cheesecake specifically made one for us as a wedding gift. They only make them for special occasions, so this was especially meaningful for us, and my husband was really looking forward to having it at our wedding. For context, this family friend has also sold some of their cheesecakes from anywhere from $200 to $400. So this isn't something that would necessarily be cheap or easy to replace. The cheesecake was on its own individual table in the dessert area, separate from the cupcakes. The table had wheels so that it could be wheeled out to the dance floor for our scheduled cake cutting. Our engraved wedding utensils were sitting next to it. The venue workers were supposed to bring it out 15 to 10 minutes before we were scheduled to cut the cake. While my husband and I were finishing dinner at the head table, our wedding planner came over and told us that one of our guests had cut into our cheesecake. That guest was my husband's great uncle. He cut himself a piece using our engraved utensils and started eating it. Then other guests just started taking pieces too. Our wedding planner realized what was happening and got after the venue staff because they had not noticed it or stopped it sooner. By the time we were actually able to do our cake cutting, only about a quarter of the cheesecake was left. Oh boy. My husband and I got a few bites before it was gone. When it was brought up to his great uncle afterwards, he didn't apologize or seem particularly bothered. He basically laughed and said something along the lines of, well, it was good. I honestly don't understand how you see 300 cupcakes available for you and decide to cut into the one cheesecake sitting separately on its own table, especially when the engraved wedding utensils were literally next to it. I wouldn't say this ruined our wedding. We had an amazing wedding, and obviously there are much more important things than dessert, but it was our one and only wedding, and this cheesecake was specifically made for us as a wedding gift because it was my husband's favorite dessert. We also can't just go to the store and replace it. My husband thinks that we should just let it go. His response is basically, that's just how the side of my family is. I, however, feel differently. I think people sometimes continue acting like a-holes because everyone around them accepts it as that's just how they are. So, would I be the a-hole if I actually mailed his great uncle an invoice for the cheesecake? I'm not trying to claim that he ruined our wedding or put a dollar amount on a sentimental value. I was thinking of invoicing him for what a comparable cheesecake would have cost, since he essentially took most of something that was specifically made for us. Would that be justified, or would sending an actual invoice just make me an a-hole too? It's her. I'm like trying to think of he didn't know it was your wedding cake, or else he probably wouldn't have done it.
You sure about that?
But then you're like, how did you not know? Or maybe you would have asked before cutting into a random cake that hasn't been cut yet. I don't know. I'm thinking of so many different things of how this could have played out. But you know what? Let's keep going. She added an edit, adding some context since there seems to be a few misconceptions in the comments. My husband's great uncle is in his late 50s, early 60s, and the cheesecake was kept in a refrigerator and cooler in the back until the wedding planner and venue staff brought it out for the cake cutting. It was brought out specifically to be displayed and cut like a wedding cake. I was busy being the bride, and I just assumed the venue staff had actually handled it. The cheesecake was made by an elderly family friend, and there's a very real possibility that this was the last cheesecake they will ever make, so it was especially meaningful to us. We are happily married, and we aren't actually expecting his uncle to pay for it. His mom and stepdad even agreed we should send it, and then basically just said, that's just how he is. I think some of the reactions are based on assumptions that weren't part of the original situation, so hopefully this clears up some of the missing context. The venue and planner probably could have handled the cheesecake situation better, and that is fair criticism. And just to be clear, I'm not the only one who thinks his behavior was inappropriate. My husband and mother-in-law both agree with me. My mother-in-laws say send the invoice, her uncle, but my husband doesn't want to because of potential family drama. Yeah. I am curious what the comments are saying though in this situation, so we're going to the Reddit comment section. First comment, a small cheesecake in the dessert area, unlabeled and not decorated with bride and groom statue, and does not say, do not eat. You were foolish and totally at fault for your carelessness. He has no obligation to pay for your mistake. Next comment, unless it was all dressed up like a wedding cake, I would have assumed that it was a cake for those who don't like cupcakes. I also would have thought the cake would have been cut and then everyone could have their cupcakes as their slice. The blame here is with the venue. The uncle not feeling bad about it or acknowledging it was special for you stings hard though. I agree. I feel like he at least could have said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. My apologies, I just thought it was dessert. I definitely think he should have acknowledged what he accidentally did and that it was meaningful for you. Next comment, the uncle is not innocent. He has terrible manners. You're not supposed to cut a cake at weddings. That is for staff to do. You should have also checked before being the first to cut into it. Also, him doubling down and not apologizing when confronted makes him a crappy human being. Okay, there's both feelings in the Reddit comments. And honestly, I see both sides. I would never cut a cake. Even if I thought I could eat it, I'm not gonna be the first one. I'm gonna ask someone like, is this cake? Like, are we allowed to eat this? You know, especially at a wedding. And if I did that and they told me that, of course I'm apologizing. I probably would offer and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I've ruined your wedding. Like, can I buy you a new cake? I'm so sorry. I would be very apologetic. So I don't think the invoice thing is going to do anything. And maybe a conversation with the uncle might go further than the invoice. It's only gonna bring drama. Next story, my dad won't pay for the car I gave him since it's totaled. I, 26 female, gave my dad, 65 male, my old car as he would make the payments on it. I have proof of this agreement. Everything has been going fine for this past year. He sends me the money on time and I would show him the receipt. Things changed when someone pulled out and hit him a few weeks ago, resulting in the car being totaled. Since then, he has been refusing to pay for it. He says it's my car because my name is on it and that I could have taken the car back at any time. What? But why would I do that when we made an agreement? And if he was making the payments, why would I randomly just come take the car? I know he can be weird like that, but if I were going to do something like that, wouldn't I have done it already? I did not have insurance because if a car's model year is within 10 years of the purchase year, you can't add it. Oh, it's a certain kind of insurance. The other driver's insurance is going to pay for $7,300, but that leaves a $2,000 balance left on the loan. I can't make that payment on top of my own $460 car note and insurance. That's close to $400. Cars are so expensive. Now he's saying he won't pay because supposedly he's been paying extra on the car insurance. I am on his plan. Honestly, I don't think he was paying extra because I was shortening my portion. My dad just likes to pay extra in hopes of getting it paid off early. When he asks me to pay extra too, I just told him that I'm not able to do that at the time. I don't have that kind of money when I'm already close to $1,000 in bills, and after I buy gas for 2 weeks, I will be over $1,000. I still have other bills to pay for outside of my car. I also know I wasn't shorting my portion of the insurance because I calculated the premium divided by 6 months to get to how much each month should be. So how is it suddenly wrong now? And my thing is, if that was the case, why didn't he say anything at the time? He's very vocal about everything else, but somehow he decided to just keep this to himself. He's lying. Even if that were true, you can't take something you did out of the kindness of your heart and throw it up in my face just to get out of your responsibility. He's being really lame, to be honest. There have been other crappy things he's done over the past few years that I have overlooked because he's my dad, but this time I won't. I finally cussed him out. Yes, that's wrong, but he needs to know how I feel. It's sad because I had been working on my credit for a few years and I was finally close to an 800 score. If I wasn't already there, it's really tough to get a good credit score. I used to have a terrible credit score back in my mid to late 20s, and it took me so long to crawl out of that and get a good credit score. Now this is showing up as a late payment, and it's going to continue to show up like that because I honestly can't afford to pay for it on top of my other obligations. I just don't see how he doesn't get that he's in the wrong. I want to take him to a TV court show or something because I don't have the money to sue him myself. Judge Judy! Judge Judy! I love her. Get him on the show. Oh my God, I would love to hear what Judge Judy has to say. At least if I win, the show guarantees the payout because I know he won't pay me himself. But I don't see many court shows running anymore except for one, and I can't think the name of it. So hopefully they call me back. I just want to be able to send the screenshots to him because maybe if he sees that he really is the one that thinks his actions are logical, it'll make him do the right thing. I don't think so. But maybe. We have an update. So maybe? All right, the update. I spoke with the lender and they explained that once the insurance pays the $7,300, it will essentially put my account several payments ahead. So for example, not an actual number, it could be like having 30 payments made in advance. That means I can continue putting whatever amount I want towards the balance without having an actual payment due each month. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to move forward with the plan while still filing in small claims court to recover the money I have put to pay out of pocket in the meantime, as well as whatever remaining amount is owed at the time of the actual hearing. Oh man. Going small claims court with your dad over a car that you know, we're giving him to help him out. He just has to make some payments, and that's a shame. What's that I hear? All aboard! It's hydration station time. Drink your water, you need it, but let me know what's in your cup. Either way, you know. Cheers. I have an announcement. I've been hinting this to you guys. I can finally share the news with you that I am going to be on Family Feud Canada Season 8. Is that not insane? You're probably like, what? I know, crazy. Yes, I am going on Family Feud Canada. It will begin airing in October. I don't know what date my episode will air, of course, but I am allowed to share all the behind the scenes. I'm going to be collaborating on some posts with them. It's gonna be really fun. So if you wanna see all the behind the scenes of the filming process, the vlog, how it goes or lack thereof, follow along on my second channel at Life with Joss or on my social media, my name. And yeah, wish me luck because I'm terrible. I'm so bad at this game. Next story. Am I the a-hole for expecting my husband to protect me from his mother without a written invitation? I, 29 female, lost my pregnancy 3 weeks ago at 11 weeks long. That's so sad. It would have been baby number 2. My daughter just turned 2. My husband, 34 male, has been incredible. The kind of man who reads bedtime stories in funny voices and still checks on me mid-breakdown without being asked. After I lost the baby, I told him plainly, nobody sets foot in this house until I say I'm ready. He agreed on the spot. My sister, who usually comes by twice a week to spoil her niece, backed off the second she heard, sending sweet check-in texts instead of just showing up. Simple. Everyone got it. Everyone except, apparently, my mother-in-law. It's always the monster-in-law, isn't it? She has a standing Sunday brunch that she insists on hosting in my kitchen every week using a spare key she was never supposed to have. This is a woman who told me 4 days postpartum that I bounced back slower than she did. When I was 7 months pregnant with my daughter, she looked at the nursery we had just finished and said, I wouldn't get too attached to that color scheme. You never know with these things. While my husband stood right there and said nothing. She calls my daughter a handful to her face and snatches snacks out of her hands as a joke. Not one kind word to me in 9 years. So when my blanket nobody comes over rule didn't seem to register as including her, I figured it was a fluke. It was not. Last Sunday, I heard her key turn in the lock while I was crying on the bathroom floor, and she breezed in like nothing was wrong. When I confronted my husband, he said I should have named her specifically, that it wasn't fair to expect him to just know, even though he knows about the key, the brunches, the nursery comment that gutted me in real time. I told him a blanket rule should not need a footnote for the one person who's hurt the most. He says I'm being unreasonable and that he can't read minds. Am I the a-hole for assuming nobody comes over, obviously included the woman with an unauthorized key to my house? You know where we're going. We are making a pit stop in the Reddit comment section, okay? Someone said, have the locks changed immediately. She is heartless and your husband is definitely the a-hole. Oh. OP responded and said the locks are getting changed on Monday, no discussion. Reading she's heartless typed out by a stranger honestly still hit me differently than it should have. And the husband part, I want to defend him, I really do, but I've been sitting with you should have specified for days now and it just keeps sounding worse the more I replay it. Since when does grief need a legal disclaimer to be respected? Maybe you're right, maybe he is the a-hole too. I didn't want to believe both people I trusted with my house let me down in the same week. I feel like it absolutely shouldn't matter who it is. You have specified no one steps foot until I'm ready. And he at least could have asked, as well as the mother-in-law, but she sounds like a nightmare. Next comment. You are not the a-hole. Your husband keeps failing you. Your husband needs to grow a backbone and put his mother in her place. He needs to set boundaries with his mom. Start by sending a group text with mother-in-law, your husband, and you, and tell her you do not appreciate her disrespecting your boundaries over and over again. Her comments about your body and refinance are rude and uncalled for. She doesn't respect your rules for your own child and treats you badly. Until she learns to treat you and your daughter with love and respect, she is not welcome in your home or in your lives. All future communications will go through your husband if needed, and then block her. If anyone else tries to defend her, saying you're the problem, they also get blocked. Change the locks tomorrow and don't give her a key. You can even do a digital code or a fingerprint scanner lock. Oh yes, I've seen those. OP responded to that one and said, reading this through actual tears. You are right that I keep making excuses for him and saying he just doesn't want conflict with his mom. He's not used to standing up to her. Like that's supposed to make it hurt less. It doesn't. Locks are getting changed first thing tomorrow morning, not waiting till Monday anymore. And I love the code idea. That way I never have to guess who let her in again. I haven't sent the group texts yet, but I've got it typed out in my notes app just sitting there. I'm terrified to send it, but I'm also so tired of being the only one protecting this house. I do think changing the locks is like the easiest and quickest way to just take away that key privilege and just change the locks. If you do a regular lock, she might make a copy of that key if your husband, doesn't put his foot down or something. So you could try the other lock with the code. He could also just tell her the code. We have an update though, so maybe, just maybe, it's good news. So I did end up texting her myself with him standing right there. No coming over until I invite her, brunch included. He said that should do it. It did not. 4 days later, I found her unloading groceries onto my counter like she had finally forgotten that written invitation herself. And when I asked why she was in my house, she told me I needed to move around more and that moping wouldn't bring a baby back. Oh! Well, see, someone's getting slapped at that point. That it wasn't really a baby yet this early anyway, all while putting my own eggs away in my own fridge. Those eggs would go on her head so fast if it was me. I called my husband and for the first time, he did not ask me to calm down before telling me what happened, just to repeat exactly what was said. He walked into the kitchen and told her to leave and hand over the key on her way out in a voice I had never heard him in before. She cried, called it an ambush, and has since told his sister that I've cut her off from her grandchild, which isn't true and which he has already corrected twice. The locks got changed that same afternoon. He apologized for real this time and admitted that he has spent years excusing comments that never needed excusing, and that hearing one aimed at me about this was the first time he could not manage it. I believe him. I just can't stop noticing that it took her cruelty to his face for a rule I had already stated plainly to finally count. So, am I the a-hole for still feeling like something's a little broken between us, even though he did exactly what he should have done the moment he actually witnessed it himself? No, I think it might take a little bit of repairing, but I do think it can be repaired, and I think this was a perfect start to setting all those boundaries firmly. Yes, he should have started them sooner, but I think we can still build that back up. Hopefully, you really need each other during this time. You really do. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her boyfriend can't stay over at our house during our daughter's party? My wife and I are hosting a birthday party for our daughter, who is turning 4 years old, at our house on the weekend. We also have a newborn who is around 6 months old. We have spent the last 1 to 2 weeks preparing many things prepared for accommodating guests. There will be around 40 guests, mainly family. My sister and her boyfriend live out of town. My sister has already recently found out she's pregnant. We invited her boyfriend out of courtesy, who normally does not attend our family occasions, because my mom doesn't want to meet him. That's a different issue for a different day. We've met her boyfriend a few times, but not a lot. My sister asked us if they can stay at our place for the weekend. However, my sister-in-law, husband, and their 2 children had already planned to stay at our house, so we already have guests. And they could consider getting a hotel. She did not appreciate me making this suggestion. Anyway, she did end up looking at hotels, but they were very expensive due to the sporting event taking place. At this point, they decided to make a trip out of it, and the boyfriend had planned to camp somewhere at some scenic places while she stayed with my mom. She asked if they could stay the Tuesday before the party. I agreed because we had room. After a day or two, she asked if her boyfriend could camp in our garden on the weekend of the party, because they're struggling to find a hotel at a reasonable price. The plan would be that she would stay with our moms while her boyfriend would camp in our garden. Oh, because mom does not want to meet him. Right. To reiterate, we have 2 young children, we are organizing a party, and we have invited the boyfriend out of courtesy, and we would have my sister-in-law and her 2 kids and husband staying over. Not to mention, we've had 3 weeks leading up to the garden landscaping, which has already been stressful, and all of this while working full-time and trying to organize a party for 40+ people. I told my sister that I don't think it would be appropriate for the boyfriend to just camp out in the garden while we have guests and kids staying over, and when the bloke is mostly a stranger to everyone in the house. Yeah. I feel like you can say no to this. She complained and said she doesn't know what to do and it's unnecessary stress. I took offense to that since I thought we had tried to accommodate the best we could and called her self-absorbed. Anyway, things escalated and there was a lot of back and forth name calling. For example, I said she needs to act more mature, that they're grown adults that should be able to figure things out, and her boyfriend is not really my problem. She said I'm a D-head, you know, starting to bring my wife's family into it by saying that I probably don't act this way with my wife's family, indicating that I treat them better and stating that being rude to my family gives me joy. I eventually apologized for being rude and short with her, and she also apologized for stressing me out. The next day, she sent a message saying that she will not be coming as it's impossible for her to find a place to stay and they will just see us another time. My mother and my other sister blame me for her not coming and think that I was completely in the wrong and out of order. They have taken her side completely. To add a bit of context, I'm the youngest of my siblings and the only one with kids. I personally don't think they understand the difficulty of dealing with young kids. So, am I the a-hole? He adds an edit before we decide. I should clarify, we do know him. I've maybe met him 5 times or so. Nice enough guy, no issues there. My other sister has also met him a few times, but my mom has never met him. And no one has met him from the extended family. Also, I'm 37 male. My sister is turning 40. Her boyfriend is nearly 50. The other sister is in her early 40s and my mom is early 70s. I do not think you're an a-hole for saying no to this. I just really don't. I think it's completely understandable. All the points you're making are totally reasonable. You don't know them all that well. You're throwing a party. I wouldn't want someone camping out in my backyard, especially someone I'm not necessarily close with. And my sister's not going to be there with the boyfriend, you know? I don't think you're an a-hole for saying no for that one. Let me know your thoughts, you guys. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow. Go on, get. I love that I'm saying this with you guys now because Matt and I say it all the time. And then now you guys are starting to say it. Anyways.